for the New York reactor. Before we begin, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Useful links will be shared in the chat. This session is recorded and will be available on demand in 24 to 48 hours on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Which brings us to today's session. It will run for approximately 1 hour with times for questions throughout. I will now turn it over to our speakers for introductions.
Thank you, Danny, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Miguel Jopis, and I'm a Group Product Manager on the Data Integration team. And I have the pleasure to be joined today by my colleagues, Miguel Escobar and Mihir Wagel. Both of them are product managers on the team as well. We'll be happy to walk you through a deep dive into using Dataflows Gen2 in Data Factory and Fabric. Now, for this session, we expect a combination of attendees who will pretty much have not heard about Dataflows Gen2 before, perhaps, or be not very familiar with the capabilities. But also, on the other hand, we expect to get many of you who are already deep into Dataflows Gen2, leveraging the capabilities today and eager to learn more. So what we plan to do is walk you through from zero to hero. So basically, starting with an overview of Data Factory and Fabric, a deep dive into the Dataflows Gen2 capabilities, but also a recap of recently shipped things over the last few weeks and what's coming ahead with both product roadmap, but also ways to upgrade easily into Dataflows Gen2 if you're already leveraging earlier Dataflow generations. So without further ado, let us get into the topic. And I'm sure by now you've heard about Microsoft Fabric as the unified data platform for AI transformations. Microsoft Fabric, it actually includes several workloads for a full end-to-end self-service data analytics offering that includes analytics capabilities, database capabilities, real-time intelligence, and business intelligence with Power BI. And it all sits in the foundation of AI, OneLake, and governance capabilities from the Fabric platform. But there's one key thing that I skipped, which is Data Factory. Now, Data Factory actually helps us helps customers bring data in, and that unleashes the value and the capabilities of all the other workloads that I just mentioned, because without data, you cannot really analyze data or store data or measure or respond to data in real time or even do business intelligence over data, right? And of course, your AI and everything else would just be as good as the data that you brought in for those capabilities to light up. So that is actually the critical space, data acquisition, data transformation, data preparation, that Data Factory helps with within Fabric. So let us deep dive into the capabilities. You may have actually used some of our data integration capabilities across Microsoft over the last decade or so that comprise a range of enterprise data integration capabilities in Azure with offerings like Azure Data Factory, Synapse Link, and also governance through Purview integration. But on the other hand, self-service data preparation capabilities, low-code data preparation capabilities for business users with Power Query that has shipped across a wide range of Microsoft products, including Excel, Power BI, Office 365, Dynamics 365, and the Power Platform. And really, our goal with Data Factory and Fabric is to bring together the best of both worlds. So in plain words, bringing an experience that is as easy to use as Power Query has always been, but as powerful as our enterprise data integration capabilities in Azure have been. And doing that within an integrated SaaS platform that is Fabric, that provides no code and also code first capabilities, and that it embraces AI capabilities and Copilot, and effectively boosts the user's productivity through AI experiences, and that also embraces open source. So with all of that, we've actually envisioned and delivered Data Factory in Fabric over the last few years. And this is a 10,000-foot view of the key capabilities included. We're actually going to use this to walk you through Dataflow Gen2 and transformation capabilities through this session. But it all starts with best-in-class data connectivity. And we also provide high-scale, large-scale data movement capabilities and also data orchestration capabilities within Data Factory in Fabric, which you may have seen through other Data Factory series or webinars in this Reactor series. We also provide deployment and observability capabilities as part of the Fabric platform, and all through the one lake and AI-powered intelligence that the Fabric platform provides. This is a summary view of all the different artifact or item types in Microsoft Fabric Data Factory. That includes data pipelines for data orchestration, mirroring or mirror databases for data replication. Another offering for orchestration is Apache Airflow Jobs. That is a code-first orchestration capability. Azure Data Factory items, so you can easily link your existing ADF factories into Fabric and be able to use all your ADF pipelines in Fabric. And data movement offerings like Copy Job that allows you to copy data easily, including full incremental or event-based data copying. Now, the one we're going to focus on in this session is Dataflows Gen2 that allows you to prep, clean, and transform data with a low-code experience. Let us talk first about best-in-class connectivity. As we said, bringing data in is the enabler for anything else that you may be able to do within Fabric. And of course, transforming data starts with bringing the data in. We provide rich connectivity to over 170 different data platforms, including things like Azure, Google, Amazon Web Services, Snowflake, Databricks, Oracle, SAP, and many more. Not only we provide 170 plus data sources, but also these are extensible. We also provide the connectors SDK that allows anyone to build their own connector and even work with us to get it certified and shipped in the product. As a matter of fact, out of those 170 plus connectors that you see in the product today, about 89 underlying data service and working with us through that certification program to get the connector shipped to everyone. We provide a mix of hybrid on-prem and cloud-based connectivity, and we provide components like the on-premises data gateway that you can download and install within your on-prem network to provide that gateway into your on-prem resources, but also VNet, cloud-based, secure data connectivity, cloud-to-cloud connectivity. So with all that, once you've been able to bring your data in, let's talk about transforming the data, so the T in ETL. Dataflows Gen2 is our flagship offering for transforming data in Fabric, and that provides the next generation of data preparation capabilities. As we were saying earlier, really the combination of the enterprise-grade capabilities we've had with Azure Data Factory in the past, but also this is that we've had in several Microsoft products. It's easy to use. It provides no-code ETL and ELT capabilities, so you can either stage and transform data or directly transform 400 different types of data transformations. And it also provides flexibility in where to output your query results. With output data destinations capabilities, we allow you to write the output of your data flows to databases such as Azure SQL, all the Fabric data artifacts like Data Warehouse, Lakehouse, KQL databases, SQL database in Fabric, and many more. We recently shipped things like being able to export to SharePoint files, CSV files in SharePoint, and many more things that are coming, as you will see in the roadmap. Without further ado, let's actually look at an end-to-end demo of Dataflows Gen2 in Fabric.
Here, we have the homepage of Data Factory in Fabric. Let's start by creating a data flow. Users who are familiar with Power Query will appreciate the familiarity of the low-code yet customizable experience. With over 170 connectors, you can get data from many sources. As you can see here, I have already imported my two tables, my orders table. Along with the two tables I brought in, I have a custom file I have on my file. I'm just going to enter. I'm brought to connect to a source page where I can see that my customer's file has been uploaded. Data preview allows me to see my data before selecting the data to clean and transform. Now that I brought in my data, I'm ready to transform data at high scale. Along with altering columns and rows, I can also merge and append queries. Let me first start by merging my customers and orders query. I can specify the queries I want to merge, along with the column I want to merge on. Now, I can see a new query with all the columns from my customers table, and one column with the nested data from the orders. Along with merging and appending queries, I can control the data using group in a group based on the values in this data flows. You can set your output destination to store your transformed data. In this example, I will write the results to a table in a data warehouse. Let's put in the server and connection credentials to my data warehouse. I will choose a destination target and give the table a name. I will leave the default as replace, essentially meaning that any tables with the same name will be replaced in my warehouse. I'll name data fix a data flow, and I can publish it.
All right, so that was a little bit of an end-to-end tour of creating a data flow end-to-end from scratch, all the way to creating some transformations and also applying a data destination to it.
Here we
don't want to watch it again, but wanted to actually rewind and actually explain some of the capabilities that you saw here in more detail. So one of the things you saw was the ability to apply high-scale transformations using our highly scalable Fabric Compute SQL engines. You notice that as part of applying that join operation, we saw Thunderbolt in one of the generated queries that actually indicates that you're leveraging the high-scale compute engine. This provides, highly scalable transformation capabilities, but also highly interactive ones, giving a fast, easy, and powerful, result and data preview to continue applying transformations to. By leveraging staging, you're actually getting into an ELT pattern. So you're extracting data from a data source, you're staging it into one lake, in this case, on top of which we allow you to apply transformation. So extract, load, and transform. You could have also opted for a classic ETL pattern without requiring that staging capability, which you can always disable as part of a data flow experience. Here's a more detailed diagram of what's happening behind the scenes. We are connecting to data sources through the Power Query experience and the underlying mashup engine or M engine that provides data movement and compute capabilities. When leveraging storage, we're actually, or staging, we're actually storing your data within one lake and leveraging Lakehouse and Warehouse for compute capabilities to apply data transformations. And finally, you are configuring output destinations or data destinations where to output the final shape and query results from your transformations. Now, you may be thinking, okay, that E or extraction step can actually be very time consuming. And of course, it depends on the scale of data that you're trying to ingest. We provide high scale data ingestion capabilities through fast copy that allows you to ingest terabytes of data without effort using Dataflows and the same low-code experience that you just saw in this demo. We support fast copy over a wide range of data sources today, including the ones listed here on the screen across Azure Data Services, Fabric, even on-prem databases like PostgreSQL, and more. Let us take a look at a demo of a before and after Dataflow Gen2 execution for a large-scale data movement without and
Hey everyone, in this demo I will be showing some tips and tricks on how you can leverage new capabilities like fast copy to make your Dataflow Gen2 more performant. Let's take this example, where a customer already has an existing Dataflow Gen2 that is processing 22 gigabytes of data. The refresh takes almost 2 hours to complete. Let me show you how you can leverage fast copy and some query optimization techniques to improve this refresh time. First, I'll allow the use of fast copylines to copy my data into the Fabric One Lake. For my more complex data transformations, I want to leverage the Fabric Compute. To leverage this, I have to stage my data first into the Fabric One Lake. This is easy. All I have to do is enable staging and reference my query. Now I can start applying all my complex transformations and compute those transformations at scale. In this example, I will be reapplying the exact same step as I previously had. This will be a group by that takes a lot of compute to calculate. Lastly, since I split my query into two, I need to reapply my data destination. I am picking the same lakehouse again. All I have to do is just pick the lakehouse from the navigator, create a new table, append as my update method. Then, history, you can now see that it only took 10 minutes to process the exact same 22 gigabytes of data with the exact same transformation as before. But now it does it much faster.
Right, that was just a little glimpse of the capabilities that you can unlock with fast copy. As you saw, 22 gigabytes of data processing went down from an hour and 15 minutes to just about 10 minutes, so a 15x improvement just by leveraging fast copy to scale or to ingest that larger scale data at fast, with high throughput, and then leveraging the compute engines within Fabric to apply compute transformations and high scale transformations. With that, let us actually switch gears to another area of the product. And you saw this in both the demos, data destinations. It's one of the key advantages of Dataflows Gen2 compared to earlier Dataflow generations and Power Query integrations, in the sense that it allows you to unlock the value of your query many different scenarios, giving you the flexibility landing the data into the destination of your choice. We support a wide range of destinations, in-house Azure data services like Azure SQL Database, Synapse Analytics. Recently introduced SharePoint CSV files, as we mentioned. You'll see a demo of that in a few minutes. And also we support multiple methods to update. As you saw in the demos, you can either replace the data in the table in subsequent refreshes or append the new rows of data after every refresh to the same table. We also support incremental refresh capabilities that allow you to, as the data grows, be more efficient in just processing only the changed data since the last refresh, and therefore saving time and resources for each data flow refresh. It allows you to just define incremental refresh policy on the per query basis. The screenshot actually outdated. It says preview feature, but it was recently GA'd as of a couple of months ago. But it allows you to configure a date, time, or date time zone column to filter by and to define the partitions, extracting data from the past and days or weeks or months, quarters, years. And after configuring those options, it's just focusing on refreshing the last chunk of data or partition of data that changed since the last refresh. Again, another one of those features that can save you a lot of time and resources as you refresh your data flows from your data sources multiple times. So with that, let us actually switch gears and talk about AI capabilities. We're going to start with a demo of capabilities that have actually a few years at this point with by example data. So wanted to play an end-to-end demo covering those capabilities.
By example data extraction in Power Query provides a no-code data first citizen user-friendly way to extract data from unstructured sources that is unmatched in the industry. Web by example allows users to easily extract data from web pages like the one we see on the left, where connector names columns specify a few sample values for the data outcomes that they're looking for. For example,
also extended today. Once users get the desired data extracted from the web page, they can move forward with applying any other transformations out of the 300 plus supported transforms in the Power Query editor experience. Achievement. A text file contains customer records in blocks of 5 lines, where the first line corresponds to the company name, followed by the and result with add tables on the first two columns. Power Query is able to infer the right repetition pattern and extract the rest of the customer records from the file. Done. Notice how, after landing in the Power Query editor, customers can see the full sequence of applied transformation steps to achieve these results. These steps can be further explored or customized by users and extended with other data transformations. Like in this case, we're going to derive a new column based upon the contact name and title from this table using column by examples to generate a very particular format. Last name uppercase, comma, profiling. Users can immediately get a sense for the value distributions of their data. The distributions on their data address any quality issues such as missing or duplicated values, or simply exclude specific data values as needed for their scenario. In this case, we will just exclude. Right, that was a quick tour of by example capabilities and also some other advanced exploration capabilities like data profiling tools. I encourage all of you to give them a try if you haven't yet.
By example,
don't want to watch it again. With that, let us actually switch gears and talk about Copilot capabilities. The first thing I have here is actually a recap of one of the major announcements we had at FabCon US. The capabilities of Copilot and AI experiences on all paid SKUs across Fabric. 4 SKUs or higher had access to these capabilities. Now they're available to every SKU. And of course, that allows all of you to try the Copilot experiences in Data Factory. What this slide provides is a quick summary of all the capabilities that we support across Dataflows Gen2 and data pipelines and the Copilot skills that are available, including things like generating new Data Factory items, such as activities in a pipeline or queries and steps within a data flow. Being able to summarize and explain complex queries is another capability that exists today, or complex activities in a data pipeline as well. Being able to create new queries, bootstrapping them by referencing existing queries or sample data. And also a capability available today within data pipelines, which is in the works for Dataflows Gen2 as well, is the ability to have Copilot-generated explanations and even suggestions for how to fix issues that happen during refresh. Let us actually go watch a demo. This is a longer demo. It's about 7 or 8 minutes, but it's so worth it. It's from our friends at Guy in a Cube, Adam Saxton and Alex Powers, that actually walks through all the Dataflow Gen2 Copilot capabilities.
Yo! What's up? I'm Adam. I'm Alex. And Alex is joining us again. You spent some time with Patrick going through, like, what can you do without Copilot? But look, I'm the pilot. And so show me what Copilot can do that I can't.
Well, Adam, then let's go ahead and start out in the modern Power query editor. We've got that amazing Copilot button. So let's go ahead and open this up now. And I'm going to type in one of my favorite prompts here. I'm just going to go ahead and say, just only keep the customers when the country is equal to the USA. Let's go ahead and hit submit.
It's like I'm having a conversation with my data.
Bananas. Let us know in the comments what you think about today's video. That was incredible. I could have clicked the button. Anyone could have done that.
Patrick could have done.
Number of customers by the state and kind of only keep the top 3 by the largest size. Submitting this now, letting Copilot kind of think about it. So Adam, last time we just did one step at a time, but this time we actually chained multiple together. That was taking this 1 button spinning wheel, 2 button spinning wheel, 3 button spinning wheel.
But there's got to be more.
All right, so still Copilot. I've noticed the Guy in the Cube videos, they're just getting a little stale here. So I'm going to ask it for a little bit of help. Maybe titles inspired by Star Wars. Let's see what we can do as maybe a title for this video.
Ooh, I like this.
Awesome. So we've got a Power BI and New Hope. The Empire Strikes Back with DAX. Phantom of the Data Menace. Oh, that one's pretty good.
The force is strong with Copilot. I will give it that. Is that it? Or like, is that the power of Copilot?
All right. So you've seen us do some simple stuff.
Yeah.
Some chained activities, now a little bit of creativity. Like let's really combine all that together. Adam, we always get into like looking at people's data models. We're always like, where's your data? It'd be great if we just ask Copilot to build that for us. So in this example, we're going to ask it to go ahead and just create a new calendar table starting from 2017 to the current date. Just include like tons of columns to slice and dice our data by. That was crazy. Look how long the scroll bar is, top to bottom.
Look at all those steps.
Oh my gosh.
Bring up the M script on that.
Wow.
Chris Webb's level.
That is, we did the comp stuff. We did some creative stuff. Adam, I do have one more trick though on this one, if you don't mind.
All right, let's see.
All right, it's not only added the steps for us, but I'd like to have a little bit more information about, okay, what were you actually doing here? So I'm just ask Copilot to kind of describe the query itself. Awesome. So here, Copilot has now written all these descriptions. I'm going to go to the very top here. So Adam, it says the query generates a comprehensive date table from January 1st to the current date. Yes, that's exactly what I was kind of looking for. It goes through and describes each line by line step here.
This is nice because now I've just got to copy and paste it, and then I've got my documentation, right?
I mean, that'd be pretty good, but I think we can do much of it right.
Okay.
So if we click on the description here, we have this add to query. We're going to check the descriptions for you. It says, hey, I noticed you had a few descriptions already. Is it okay to overwrite? Absolutely. Let's go and do that. These are much better. Top to bottom. Wow. All of these have now been described. If we hover above the query, also the query level description has been added.
Bananas. All right. Everyone should be doing that. Well, I mean, is there anything else Copilot can do? I mean, this is...
So we've seen a lot here. Let's go back to the very beginning because I know you were a little skeptical here at the top. So I'm going to go into my query. We're going to just go back to kind of that early example, right? Especially if you're a new or inexperienced user, Adam, you've never seen Power Query before. It's got all these amazing buttons. You're just like, well, which ones do I press? But you know the problem you want to solve, right? So we're going to ask it to just go and only keep married customers. Very simple. Again, we see on the card, it has the icon here for the rows. We're going to hover above this now. Obviously, we can S equals single. Yep. Copilot was able to figure that out.
You may need to validate that, right? Because it may not get it just right. But in this case, it got it spot on.
And of course, if there's an error, you can undo it here on the card. You can delete it from the applied steps list. Yep. Let's go and try it, kind of another one here as well. Maybe creating new columns by the login, kind of a username and company. If we go to the right-hand side, it adds two columns, username and company, just kind of based upon like the original column here. So if we were to go back, bachelor's, occupation's professional, and the title is missing. So I think about this, Adam, whenever you, me, or kind of 11 clicks.
I'm going to say Copilot is the new click tax remover.
Oh, I love it. I love these examples and find the right column. It's making me more productive, even as a professional user, to be like, is that something I want to fuss with, or can I just force it to Copilot? I'm going to go to this query here now. We always see like a lot of these just very horizontal laid out tables where it's like, oh my gosh, is it the pivot? Is it the unpivot? You have to do it once or twice until you kind of only remember the one. But wouldn't it be better if we just ask Copilot here to just do multiple steps here? So turning kind of a SQL background.
So it can handle the chaos that is Alex. That's good to know.
Yes.
That's good to know.
So let's go ahead and do another one here. The fact
the business said they needed all of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I only need this one column product key. Instead of like scanning left and right and hoping I got them all, I'm just going to ask Copilot, just only keep the product key in my table, but dynamically remove every other column as a suffix of key, ID, or label. Let's go ahead and submit that.
Oh, I like that.
So it's not just the data that we're kind of using Copilot with, but it could also be the schema.
You know, when Patrick and I would do demos before, and it was like, oh, I got to remove all the keys and I got to go through each one, and there's a bunch of them on the fact table. So I'm like, nice.
So in this example, choose. It wrote this dynamic formula now for us. So it has the ends with or label. So now in the future of any new columns get added to the table, we don't have to worry about them. We are only keeping the actual columns that we.
Nice.
Last one. When we're complete custom function here now for us where it renamed every single column in our table to be more readable.
I do, but it's
for me is just the inexperienced user using it to learn Power Query, yes. And then the advanced users being, okay, how can I be even faster my development time? I'm like that big calendar table, that massive advanced editor screen.
Yeah.
Taking us to run as professionals.
Not that efficient. Questions for Alex or myself, and a lot of good experiences with it. As always, from both Martha, Patrick, Alex, and myself, thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next video.
That was a deep dive into the Copilot capabilities in Dataflows Gen2.
Yeah.
I was also notified offline that there are some issues with the videos and there's some lag. I turned off my camera for now, see if that helps. I think it's a connectivity issue, but we'll try it for the rest of this session. I have a few more videos and demos to show. If those fail, we can skip those. But in the meantime, let us actually look at a quick recap of the recently shipped capabilities at Build. This was roughly 3 weeks ago. So we GA'd the Dataflow Gen2 CI/CD capabilities in Fabric. We have a demo of that, so hopefully we can watch that, internet permitting. We also announced a public preview of some capabilities, such as the public APIs, including SPN support for those Dataflow Gen2 items, allowing you to create, update, delete, execute Dataflow Gen2 items programmatically. We also announced a new capability, parameterized data flows, that allows you to create parameters within your data flows and make those exposed for external invocation. And in particular, when orchestrating Dataflow Gen2 execution through data pipelines in Fabric, you're able to override those values, also through the public APIs item that we mentioned before. We continue extending the Dataflows Copilot capabilities on top of what you saw on the earlier demo. We also now support natural language input to create new custom columns within Dataflows Gen2 in Fabric. And we also lit up a new output destination to export your query results to SharePoint in the form of CSV files. The rest of the items that you see here are other announcements across Data Factory capabilities, like connection capabilities, copy, mirroring, and others. So won't talk about those in detail, but definitely encourage you to check them out as well. All right, so let's try and take a look at the Dataflow Gen2 CI/CD general availability capabilities that we announced at Build. Let's see if this demo works better.
Here we are in our Contoso Outdoors workspace, where we have a task list set up to prep, transform, and right away you'll notice something new. This workspace is integrated with folders, making it easier to organize and navigate Data Factory items. Source control is also enabled, and we'll see that in action shortly. Let's click New and create a Dataflows Gen2 item. Right away, we can see that this data flow will have Git integration enabled and support parameterized invocation via public APIs. Let's give it a name and hit Create. Now, inside the Dataflows editor, we've introduced a few enhancements to improve the transformation experience. First, a streamlined toolbar. We've reduced it to a single line for a cleaner, more focused workspace. If you prefer the previous view, you can always toggle the ribbon back. Second, a Save As button, one of the top requests from our community. You can now save a data flow with automatically publishing and refreshing the data behind the scenes. And third, multitasking support. You can now open multiple items at the same time. When I open an item, a tab is pinned to the left navigation bar, so I can switch between my workspace and other resources, like querying my Contoso Outdoors SQL database without losing my place. So let's skip ahead, and you'll see that we've already brought in some tables and applied transformations. Now let's save our data flow to the workspace. Since Git integration is enabled, is marked as uncommitted. By clicking Source Control, we can view what's changed, add a commit. Within seconds, our changes are committed and everything is up to date. If I navigate to my DevOps environment, you'll see individualized folders for each of the items. If I navigate to the new data flow that I just created and synced, you'll see all the relevant mashup and metadata files here. Now that I've synced our data, we have the option to refresh it directly from here. But now we've integrated the new schedule experience. Just like pipelines, I can now schedule to run this data flow every few minutes, every hour, daily, etc. And I could give it granular controls like the frequency of refresh times as well, all integrated in a unified experience. The last feature I want to show you is how we can enable users to easily save an existing Dataflows Gen1 as a Gen2 native data flow. We have a new Save As experience that enables easy migration all with just a couple of clicks. All I have to do is go to my Dataflow Gen1 that I have in my workspace, and then I'll see an option called Save As Dataflow Gen2. You can optionally provide it a name, and then we'll hit Create. Soon you'll see a new Dataflow Gen2 native item created based on the copy of the queries from the Gen1 data flow. Returning to the workspace, we can now see two data flows, the original Gen1 data flow and the new Gen2 data flow.
Right, that was a quick overview of the Dataflow Gen2 CI/CD end-to-end experiences and capabilities for both creating a new item, but also to manage it, to refresh it, to look at the previous refreshes and so on. So this is all generally available now as of a month ago, and encourage all of you to try it out. And as you saw here, we also have that Save As capability that allows you to easily bring existing items, whether they are Dataflow Gen1s or Dataflow Gen2s, into Dataflow Gen2 CI/CD enabled. So definitely something worth checking out for you, and quickly start creating your new Dataflows as Dataflow Gen2 CI/CD enabled.
Here,
switching gears, let's actually talk about one of the top requested capabilities for Dataflow Gen2, which was the ability to provide parameter values at the invocation time and as part of your pipeline orchestration, so that you can fully realize metadata-driven pipelines that invoke data flows with parameters. Let us take a look at the demo.
This is a metadata-driven pipeline that seamlessly moves my product order data through the medallion architecture in OneLake at petabyte scale. A common challenge in data processing is dynamically handling different inputs, and I can use parameterization to make my workflows fully flexible. I've created a parameter in my pipeline that references my SQL database connection. And going into my copy activity, I can create a dynamic connection that references that same parameter. No more static connections, and I can parameterize them effortlessly. If I open the expression builder, I can simply select my predefined parameter, and just like that, my connections are dynamic and easily configurable. Next, I've integrated a Dataflow activity to handle transformations. Let's open it up and see how parameterization makes it even more powerful. In this Dataflow, I'm transforming products orders data by grouping orders by region. My goal is to create a table in OneLake for each region. Instead of hard-coding regions, I can make this dynamic using parameters. I've defined a region parameter which dynamically filters data by the region. The default value is Eastern, so my query currently filters for Eastern orders. When I use this parameter in my orders by region query, the filter icon indicates that the query dynamically adjusts based on the input. Since my destination is a SQL database, region-specific tables automatically appear there. Let's hit save and see how we can leverage this new parameter from within a pipeline. If I go back to my pipeline and configure my Dataflow activity, I can see that after selecting my Dataflow, I have a new section to input the parameters. Here, I can input my region parameter, and I'll use the expression builder to give it a parameterized value from the get metadata activity. Inside my for each loop, this pipeline will iterate over each region dynamically, processing orders from Eastern, Northern, Southern, and Western regions. Skipping ahead, you can see my pipeline has run successfully. Checking the output, we can see that each region's data was processed separately. First activity, the region is Eastern, second is Southern, and another one is Northern. If I head to my database, I'll see 4 separate tables corresponding to products for each region for my tables.
All right, that was an end-to-end view of that new capability that we have now made available in public preview as of a month and a half ago to allow you to parameterize data flows and perform parameterized invocation of them through your data pipelines. We'll skip this demo, Copilot support. Actually, I think we're good on time, so let's play it. We continue enhancing the Dataflow Gen2 Copilot capabilities, now also with support to create custom columns. Let us take a look at that.
I'm in a bit of a situation. I was tasked with something that is a little bit complex. This is a complicated logic that relies on the data that I have in this table. So this table has order ID, has a quantity column, category, and then the total. I'm tasked with creating a new column that can actually implement a discount based on the quantity, category, and the total. So how can I do that? So I have a couple of ways inside of Power Query. I can go here and add column, and perhaps I can also use something called conditional column. So I could potentially leverage this, but what happens is that this may be a limited experience for this specific scenario, which is a bit complex, which requires n and other operators that I need. I can take the custom column approach and I can write my own custom formula, but if I'm new, I'm not the best when it comes down to the Power Query formula language, then perhaps I'm not going to be able to. However, I now have a new entry point in this custom column, which is a Copilot feature. This is what we call natural language to custom column. So what you can do is just go into this input box, just type whatever that logic is, and it is a little bit complex. So it's going to start with, if the total order is more than 2,000 and the category is B, we provide a discount of 10%. If the total is more than 200 and the category is A, then provide a discount of 25%, but only if the quantity is more than 10. Otherwise, just provide a 10% discount. So this is quite complex. And if I send this to Copilot to create a custom formula for me, it's going to do it. So let's go ahead and give it a try and see what it actually creates. So it actually not only created the custom formula, but it also added the column name and the correct data type that I need. So looking at this here, yes. So total is higher than 2,000 and category B. Sure. Then total times 0.9, so there's a 10% discount. Else if total is higher than 200 and category is equals to A. There's more formula that perhaps I'm not really too sure about what it actually does. And the reality is that perhaps I don't even need to. I can just go into my preview and see if the results actually make sense to me. Yes, they do make sense to me. I verified this beforehand. This is more of a cooking show. But yeah, so this actually makes sense to me. But let's go ahead and actually figure out what this is actually doing, because we also have another feature. I can right-click this query, and I can have this new entry point that I have here called explain this query. So if I click on that, it's going to open up the Copilot window, and it's going to try to explain what this query does. So this is quite a simple query, but we have a source step. You create a table from my compress JSON entity, change column, and then we have this add a custom, which actually added the column with conditional logic for discounts based on total and category values. Now this is quite similar to what I had before. If I just open Copilot and I click on describe this query and send this, it will give me the same response. It's just that it's closer to me because I can right click the query and get this. Of course, I can run this with more complex queries, and it will give me an explanation as to what the actual query does.
All right, that was yet another Copilot skill for Dataflows Gen2. So super excited to bring that into the product. It's currently available as a public preview, and we have pretty ambitious plans to continue improving those capabilities over the next few months. Switching gears, the last demo that I wanted to show you from recently shipped capabilities at Build is the new output destination to SharePoint CSV files. Let us take a look.
Let's see how we can set the default data destination for a data flow to SharePoint. Here in my data flow, I can either select default data destination from the ribbon or configure it directly in my query. After selecting the icon, SharePoint is an option alongside our other destinations. I'll click into it, provide the SharePoint site URL, authenticate the connection, and proceed. The file name is automatically set, and on the left, you'll see all the available folders to store my data. I'll select my sales folder, hit next, and keep the default column mapping. And just like that, my default destination is now set to SharePoint. I can confirm this in my query and at the bottom right-hand side. Now, let's hit save and run. And after a few seconds, I can navigate to my SharePoint folder where my data has successfully landed. Adding SharePoint as a default destination opens up even more possibilities for further analysis and reporting.
All right, that was the last demo of new capabilities that we are planning to show you today. But now you might be wondering, okay, I'm already using an earlier generation of Dataflows. Perhaps I'm using Dataflows Gen1 or Power BI Dataflows. How do I upgrade to Fabric Data Factory so that I can leverage Dataflows Gen2 capabilities like the ones that I saw in this session? First of all, just to reinforce, why should you even care? Why would you even try to upgrade to Dataflows Gen2? Well, it's because it provides significantly enhanced capabilities across data ingestion and transformation compared to Power BI Dataflows or Dataflows Gen1. And just to recap on what those are, first of all, you saw the high-scale data ingestion capabilities of fast copy and something pretty dramatic like a Dataflow refresh going from almost 2 hours to just about 10 minutes, so 15x improvement. You saw that demo earlier in this session. Secondly, and this one we didn't demo, but we mentioned as well, is the fact that Dataflows Gen2 provide secure cloud-to-cloud connectivity through VNet data gateways in Fabric and Power BI. Third, you also saw this in multiple demos, is the high-scale transformation capabilities powered by the Fabric SQL compute engines and the ability to leverage staging for defining an ELT pattern. Additionally, you saw plenty of Copilot skills and capabilities demonstrated today for how it can boost your productivity as a Dataflow creator, or even as someone who's just trying to understand an existing Dataflow or an existing query. You also saw the wide range of data destinations or output destinations available today, but also the ones that are coming, as you're going to see in the next few slides as we talk about roadmap. And last but not least, this one you saw briefly on one or two of the demos, but is the enhanced refresh history UX experience with more detailed information about previous Dataflow runs, both successful and failed, that allows you to troubleshoot issues and to stay on top of your Dataflow Gen2 executions to ensure they are up to the right quality and accuracy. Here is a little bit of a table comparison of capabilities that exist in Power BI Dataflows or Dataflow Gen1 and their equivalent within Dataflows Gen2. I won't cover this in detail, but the summary of it is that for all key capabilities and mainstream capabilities, they are either natively directly supported the same way as Gen1 or actually enhanced in Gen2. There are a number of things that we opted not to actually invest in given a low adoption in Gen1. But if you're running into any of those as limitations for something you use today, we're more than happy to engage with you through community forums to discuss workarounds. Okay, so now let's say that you actually want to move forward with upgrading. What are the different ways for you to do this? There are three main ways for you to upgrade, and really they depend on the granularity at which you upgrade something from Gen 1 to Gen 2. The lowest or the finest granularity is to actually create a new data flow or just to copy paste queries from a Dataflow Gen 1 to a Dataflow Gen 2, either new or existing. So at the level of a single query, you can just copy those queries over to a Dataflow Gen 2 to leverage the new capabilities. Beyond that, you can also do it at the Power Query template level. So you're able to export a Power Query template from an existing data flow, whether it is a Dataflow Gen 1 or a Dataflow Gen 2, and then create a new data flow from that template. So this will take care of copying or exporting and importing all the queries within your data flow. Now, both of those capabilities are generally available, but we also recently announced a third capability, which is the ability to save as a Dataflow Gen 2. You saw this briefly as part of the Dataflow Gen 2 CI/CD demo, where you're able to just right-click on an existing Dataflow Gen 1 or even a Dataflow Gen 2 item and just save it as another Dataflow Gen 2 that is CI/CD enabled. Today, but also we plan to extend that with new capabilities such as the schedule refresh policy, and beyond that, any other artifact properties or item properties like not just the name, description, but also things like sensitivity labels and beyond that as well. So this is something that we are actively enhancing, and we expect to have new capabilities delivered on this Save As experience over the next few weeks and months as well. So stay tuned for those further announcements as well. Great. Switching gears, we have about 8 minutes left, and wanted to make sure we give you a glimpse of our roadmap for the rest of 2025 calendar year. The left column here is a recap of what we recently announced over the last couple of months. I won't talk about that since we already covered that in depth. But looking at the coming soon column, we are going to continue making enhancements to the output destination capabilities, including both new output destinations. For example, you saw SharePoint CSV files in the demo. We also plan to provide support for Excel files or XLSX files, including things like formatting, database formatting, partitioning across worksheets, and many other rich capabilities for consumption, geared towards easier consumption and exploration of the data exported into the files. OneDrive Business, it's possible today to leverage the SharePoint CSV file output destination to output to a OneDrive Business folder. We're going to make that more discoverable and easy to use. Today, you have to go some ways to find the right URL to use in the SharePoint file destination to configure a OneDrive Business folder. Additionally, we plan to invest in additional destinations like ADLS, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, and also other relational databases, including Microsoft, but also non-Microsoft destinations such as Snowflake. We also plan to extend existing destinations such as the Lakehouse, Warehouse, and others to support schema selection. Today, all the tables that you create as part of the output destination to, say, Lakehouse, for example, they write to the default schema. We're going to actually allow you to pick different schemas to emit your tables to. The last one in this bucket, you saw some of the parameterization capabilities and parameterized invocation capabilities. We're extending that to support full parameterization of artifacts, paths, workspaces, table names, and so on as part of configuring an output destination. So you can have a fully metadata-driven data flow, including the output destination settings. Another big area of investment for us is everything having to do with improving the experiences for getting data into a data flow so you can further transform it and enrich it. And in that front, we are expanding the data capabilities to include Copilot support. So being able to provide natural language statements to say, hey, bring data from this source, and starting with recent sources, but eventually also other Fabric sources, will give you the ability to bring tables in, but also specify some transforms. So just like you saw on the Copilot demo through the Copilot pane, being able to do that directly through the Get Data experience as well. Another big area of feedback and requests over the years has been to provide richer experiences to browse for files on SharePoint, files and folders, and even SharePoint sites to connect to SharePoint lists. While we do provide these capabilities today, they're just hard for you to configure and navigate using URLs, and copy pasting the right URLs is always challenging. We introduced a couple of years ago the ability to browse for files in OneDrive, in your OneDrive business folders. We're extending that to also support SharePoint team sites. So stay tuned for that. We're super excited about this upcoming capability. And last but not least, we are extending the recent source capabilities to also include recent tables, allowing you to easily reconnect to things that you've connected to previously through the Get Data experience, so that it will save you the steps and time on subsequent attempts to reconnect to the same tables and sources in the same or even other data flows. The next one is first-class support for Fabric workspace variables. You saw in the parameterized Dataflow invocation demo that you can work around the lack of first-class support today by actually orchestrating a Dataflow execution through a data pipeline and passing workspace variable values through that pipeline to the Dataflow for invocation. We plan to also support this directly within Dataflows Gen2 so that you don't need to have the additional pipeline for orchestration if you don't need to. And additionally, we have a number of, the last but not least item here is we have a number of performance enhancements planned across execution of your data flows with things like parallelized execution, but also during authoring with design time experiences around sampling and caching and other capabilities that will give you just a much more interactive and efficient experience as part of not only refreshing, but also creating your data flows. With that, just wanted to say we have a lot more in our roadmap. I kept the URL up there, roadmap.fabric.microsoft.com/product=Data Factory. We have over 100 items planned across Data Factory for the rest of this calendar year. About 30 or 40 of those are actually Dataflows Gen2 capabilities. So do encourage all of you to check that out and keep the conversation going with us through all our official community channels and feedback channels that we have available out there. And of course, the Ideas Forum where you can upvote for new capabilities, which we monitor on a regular basis and use that to drive our next wave of improvements based on product demand. With that, I think we're almost at the top of the hour. Just wanted to thank you all again for joining and apologize for all the connectivity-related challenges, particularly when watching demos. I think turning off camera helped. We'll definitely do that for next time as well, so we have a better experience from the get-go. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Danny, for any closing words. Thank you all.